Imagine a game having the absolute highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, because that's Final Fantasy 16. I don't know how it happened, but it seems like literally the $200 million, whatever it is, budget that went into this game went into developing the most amazing boss fights you've literally ever seen in your entire life. And then everything else, the last 35 cents, was left on these random main quests that just slow the pace of the game down to like a snail's crawl. Why did it happen? What were they thinking? Listen, let me give you a little bit of backstory on what the game is. He plays this guy, Clive, and he's a cool guy. Clive is cool. Clive's got a cool sword. Clive's got a cool scar on his face. Clive is the man. He's basically the new Cloud, you know? Like, that's kind of the situation that it is. And the game is kind of set up to be this Game of Thrones style, Final Fantasy IV style. You know, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of betrayal. There's these warring factions. There's different countries. Everything's going crazy. There's magic. And then it all kind of combines to become this Attack on Titan kind of situation where you got these huge things called icons that people seem to be, that are like trapped inside people's bodies, you know, with their power, their elements, their spirits kind of thing. And they evolve and they become these massive bosses and you know, stuff like that. It's awesome. It's honestly awesome. From the very beginning, it's absolutely awesome. And it just grabs you and it doesn't let go. And I'm telling you, it's great. But, and this is a big but, okay? At about 20 or so hours in, the game literally stops. I'm talking that shit goes straight to the floor. The pacing's gone. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like they just build up these moments of like huge. Here it is. It just gets getting crazier. Okay, now let's slow this bad boy down. Slow it down, you know what I'm saying? And the slow parts just don't work. It's just like, this is not what it should be, you know? I don't know what the hell the deal is here, but it's just like, what is happening? I know the game is developed by Creative Business Unit 3, which is the team responsible for Final Fantasy 14, and it seems like they grabbed a lot of the stuff that they learned from there and applied it to this game. And the way that they did that is essentially by making big quests into MMO side quests, and it's not good, okay? It's just like, let me be real. Let me be totally honest here with you, okay? Totally. This is coming from the bottom of my beating heart, okay? This game went from what I consider to be honestly a 9.5 out of 10, amazing, 100% amazing, loved every second of it, to literally a 7 out of 10. That's a big drop off. A big drop off. And the reason why is because of the pacing. It's atrocious. I cannot get over it. From having these explosive, insane moments that are so good, gripping story that's so good, and then all of a sudden they're like,
"Hey, Clive, do you mind helping me find some nails?"
Yeah, I do mind helping you find some fucking nails, because I'm Clive. I'm like the literal savior of the world, and you're asking me to find some nails?
Hey, you mind finding some wood chips for me?
Yeah, I do. I do mind finding you wood chips, because why can't you ask literally anybody else to do that for you? Why am I the guy that has to do these nonsense quests from like 2006 World of Warcraft, beginning of World of Warcraft era? It's garbage, and it just makes the game feel completely uneven, and it brings it to a standstill, because it just fills it with boring dialogue, with these boring quest lines, and it gives you no purpose. And the way that they're implemented is literally like, you watch a cutscene, then the cutscene ends, then it asks you to talk to somebody, then you just see some dialogue with them that's skippable, which thankfully, because the dialogue in those portions is not good. They give you a quest to literally walk to somewhere else to talk to somebody. That takes a few minutes to walk there also. Then once you're there, you talk to them for a few minutes. Then they tell you to walk somewhere else, talk to them. Then they tell you to teleport somewhere, kill one enemy that gives you this random item. And it's like, this one thing, all 25 minutes for one thing that results in almost nothing? No, what the hell? Like, what about the huge battles? What about the intrigue? What about the excitement? What about the betrayal? What about all these? What happened to the first 20 hours? You set up 20 hours of awesome, and then you turned it into 20 hours of nonsense. And that leads to another point, which is that the game doesn't need to be this long. And it's like they're afraid to make a short Final Fantasy game, but too bad, dude. Make a short Final Fantasy game, because you don't need it to be this long. You don't need it to be a 40-hour game. It doesn't need to be. It could be 25 hours, and it would have been perfect. There's no other way to say it. It literally would have been a perfect game. It would have been between a 9.5 and a 10 if it was a 20-hour game. It's just what it is. And instead, it's a 45-hour game with terrible pacing, with side quests that are absolutely meaningless, and even though there are good side quests in the game, most of them you're gonna skip because they're majority bad. So why are you making it with bad, boring stuff, and then you expect me to do all of it? No, I'm not gonna do all of it, because it sucks. If it didn't suck, I would do it. And that's the main thing. The game is honestly boring. It sucks to say, especially with that amazing first 20 hours, it's boring. It does some things truly amazing. Like literally some of the best stuff you've ever seen in a game ever. Some of the coolest set pieces, some of the coolest bosses, crazy music, just craziness. And then it's like, hold your horses. This shit's about to get slow as fuck. No. Why are you doing that to me, man? What? I don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want to deal with this. You definitely don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. You don't want to deal with this. What? Why are we dealing with this? Cut 20 hours of content from the game, cut the boring side quest, cut the nonsense dialogue, because it doesn't need to be there in the first place. There's literally no reason for that. No reason. Not in a game of this kind of quality, this kind of budget like here, and then you're bringing it down to here for what? Just to pad it out? No, thank you. Cut it loose. I wanted this game to be an absolute 10, and it starts off as a 10. Don't get me wrong on that. Do not get me wrong on that. It starts off as a 10 and just. So what then?
Clive Rosfield.